Did you know that in recent studies on social behavior, it was found that people with greater emotional intelligence and spiritual sensitivity are also the most likely to feel lonely, even in crowded environments? It's as if they exist on another frequency, invisible to most. This seems contradictory, doesn't it? After all, anyone who carries light should attract crowds. But here's the question that could completely change your view. What if the shine you carry is precisely what drives people away? Yes, this is exactly what happens to those who walk with a rare type of consciousness. They were not made to follow the crowd. They were shaped to transform realities. But there is a price for this mission: loneliness. And this loneliness is not just circumstantial. It is energetic, spiritual, profound. If you've ever felt like you don't belong anywhere, even though you try, maybe this guide is the mirror you need right now. Be part of our spiritual family. Subscribe to the channel today and comment "I believe" below as a symbol that you accept your role in this great transition. Let your energy be counted among the chosen. The time is now. Let's go back to a symbolic moment. Imagine a child with attentive eyes, always curious, who asked questions that adults avoided answering. Instead of playing like the others, she observed the gestures, the silences, the lies that everyone pretended not to notice. She didn't understand why her classmates made fun of her for preferring to remain silent or for talking about things that were too serious for her age. She grew up, and at each stage of life, that same pattern was repeated. Shallow connections, friendships that disappeared for no reason, loves that couldn't support their intensity. Maybe that child is you. And this journey of disagreement with the world has nothing to do with error or personal failure. It has to do with a much greater truth. Not everyone is ready to deal with the truth you carry within you. Being chosen, although it sounds poetic, is also a painful process. You become the mirror that reflects the reality that many avoid facing. Your intuition bothers, your presence disarms, your energy reveals. And that's why often the environment moves away before you even say anything. Silence surrounds you, not by chance, but because its frequency does not fit into the common noise. And here comes the first major conflict of this experience. When you don't understand what's happening, you start to believe that the problem is you. You wonder why friendships don't last, why relationships disintegrate without explanation, why it seems like the whole world is heading in another direction while you follow a lonely, invisible road. But the answer lies in what you stand for. In a universe where the majority lives distracted, those who are awake are uncomfortable. Where there is falsehood, authenticity becomes uncomfortable. Where everyone has become accustomed to the surface, the depth is frightening, and you are deep. You feel too much, you think too much, you perceive too much. That makes you rare, and the rare by nature is lonely. Therefore, this video, this script is not just about loneliness, it's about purpose. It's about understanding that being alone is not the same as being lost. That the absence of people around does not mean an absence of value, but often a sign of preparation. You were not left behind. You were removed to be stoned. Over the next chapters, we will explore in detail and unspoken truths the 7 hidden reasons through which those who carry a greater mission tend to walk without company. And we're not just going to list reasons. We're going to reveal the spiritual logic behind it, connect real experiences, open doors of deep reflection, and most importantly, bring relief. Why understand why are you alone? It can be the first step to transforming this solitude into strength, clarity, and alignment with what truly awaits you. While many rush for acceptance, the chosen ones learn to value silence. Because it is there that the most important answers are revealed. So if you've ever felt like your journey doesn't seem to fit into any known map, take a deep breath. You are not broken, you are just awakening. And every soul that awakens needs to go, first of all, through the valley of isolation. Your journey is just beginning. It's time to regain your strength and build a new path. Subscribe to the channel and be part of this community that is awakening to the truth, the sensitivity that feels the invisible. In 2007, a group of researchers from Stony Brook University in the United States conducted a study that caught the attention of the scientific community. People with high emotional sensitivity demonstrated greater activity in brain regions linked to empathy, perception, and response to the social environment. In other words, their brains were neurologically programmed to feel more. This phenomenon is not just psychological, it is physical, real, and measurable. But what if this sensitivity went beyond the emotional field and extended to the energetic field? Have you ever walked into a place and immediately felt the weight of something you couldn't explain? Have you ever looked at someone and felt discomfort that didn't make logical sense? Perhaps you remained silent in a conversation because you realized that behind the words spoken, there was a hidden truth. If you recognize yourself in these experiences, you probably carry one of the most common characteristics among the so-called chosen ones: high energetic sensitivity. Being sensitive to this level is not a choice. It's a gift and also a responsibility. People like this capture what the eyes don't see. They perceive vibrations, disguised emotions, hidden intentions. And this natural ability to decode surrounding energies is not an esoteric fantasy. It is something increasingly studied within quantum physics and behavioral neuroscience. According to recent estimates, around 20% of the world's population has typical traits of high sensitivity, according to Dr. Elaine Aron, a psychologist who pioneered research on highly sensitive persons since the 1990s. But among this 20%, there is an even smaller group, those whose sensitivity is combined with spiritual perception. These are individuals who not only feel more, but understand what they feel, even if they don't know how to explain it. And that's where the lonely journey begins. Most people connect with what is tangible. They are based on gestures, words, and observable attitudes. Those who have this heightened sensitivity live with an emotional and vibrational radar on all the time. They are attentive not only to what is shown, but to what is hidden. This creates a type of consciousness that does not fit into ordinary relationships. You notice when someone is disconnected from you, feel when the energy changes in the environment, detects when there is falsehood, even if everything seems normal. And this ability is not well received by everyone. In fact, she pushes it away, because those who carry truths in silence also carry discomfort for those who live in masks. In social situations, your energy is often annoying, not because you do anything wrong, but because your presence reveals what many try to hide. And this can be read, interpreted, felt, even if unconsciously, by the people around you. They can't explain why they prefer to keep their distance, but they feel like they can't be themselves in front of you. The vibration you emit acts like a beacon, and headlights are not meant to please, they illuminate. Therefore, those who are comfortable in the dark tend to avoid its presence. It's as if your energy field creates a reflection. It shows people who they really are, even if it's never said out loud. And this can generate isolation, judgments, sudden separations, or even relationships that start intense and end without explanation. But make no mistake, this is not personal rejection. It's someone else's defense. A form of protection that others adopt because they are unable to deal with the energy that you naturally carry. The good news is that this sensitivity is also a shield. She alerts you, protects you from falsehoods, shows you where it is not safe to stay. You don't need many experiences to know if a place, person, or relationship is draining you. You feel it in your skin, in your bones, in your heart. And this kind of silent wisdom takes you away from the ordinary, but it also leads you to authenticity. However, here's the challenge. Until you understand this sensitivity as a gift, it feels like a burden, a weight that prevents you from having lasting friendships, light relationships, or spontaneous connections. You start to doubt yourself. He thinks that perhaps he is exaggerating, that he should be more tolerant, more normal. But your normal is different. Your internal system is calibrated for something greater. That's why, while everyone seems content with the superficial, you crave depth. While others accept noise, you seek silence. And when everyone celebrates appearances, you expect essence. This process is tiring, yes. It's lonely, for sure, but it is also refined, rare, and transformative. The truth is that you are not alone because you are hard to love. You are alone because your sensitivity demands true connections, those that don't suffocate, don't manipulate, don't drain. Connections where exchange is real, where energy circulates in balance, and these connections exist. They're just not common, because neither are you. So the next time you feel like no one understands you, remember, you weren't here to fit in. You came to remind others that there is another way to relate. Cleaner, more sincere, more aligned with the soul. This sensitivity that isolates you today is the same that tomorrow will connect you with those who really belong in your world. It's time to regain your strength and build a new path. If this video is making sense to you, don't stop here. Click sign up now and discover the next step towards your transformation. Forged in silence, the weight that prepares for a greater calling. In an age where everything is immediate, where answers are required in seconds and achievements need to come quickly, living a prolonged period of waiting can seem like punishment. But what if this waiting, instead of punishment, is the holiest of preparations? Most people fear loneliness. They see it as an absence, as a failure, as a sign of rejection. But there is a group, small, almost invisible, that discovers in isolation a rare type of formation. They are those who live apart, not out of shyness, but out of vocation. And among these are the chosen ones. Contrary to what many think, being chosen is not synonymous with glory. Before the mission comes the modeling. Before influence comes polishing, and this polishing takes place behind the scenes, away from the eyes of the world, where no one applauds or understands. The truth is that the universe does not entrust major tasks to those who still depend on other people's acceptance to feel whole. Therefore, those who carry high purposes are almost always called to live periods of anonymity. Moments of distance, when everything seems to stand still, without direction, without a clear answer. But behind the appearance of inertia, there is invisible and deeply intentional work. In this hidden time, the soul is being trained. And not with theories, but with intense, often painful experiences. Frustrations, losses, silences, cycles ended without explanation. This is all part of the reconstruction. It's not easy, and it shouldn't be. Why true purposes are not born in comfort zones. Imagine a warrior being prepared for a mission. It is not played directly onto the battlefield. First, he goes through trials, training, internal confrontations. You learn to control your impulses, to recognize your weaknesses, to transform your scars into armor. This is also the case with the soul that carries a calling. It needs to be structured so as not to fall apart when the time comes to fulfill its function. And this structure only forms in the midst of silence. The absence of distractions allows you to see more clearly. The lack of superficial ties makes room for deepening the bond with what is eternal. It is at this stage that many begin to discover hidden talents, intuitions that previously went unnoticed, spiritual connections that do not depend on any religion. It is in this space, free from external noise, that consciousness expands. But why does this preparation require solitude? Because not everyone can stand watching your transformation. When you are becoming, many around you are still just surviving, and your change threatens their stagnation. By leaving the norm, you challenge the collective, and that bothers you. Many people walk away, not because they don't like you, but because no longer recognize who you are becoming, and that scares them. Furthermore, there is an energetic factor at play. When you experience a rise in consciousness, your vibration changes. You stop resonating with environments, habits, conversations, and even people that used to make sense. What was once comfortable becomes dense. What seemed right starts to sound artificial. This creates a natural distance. It's not a choice. It's a consequence of your own expansion. And this separation is essential. This is where you learn to walk on your own, trusting what you feel, respecting internal cycles. It is also during this time that the universe rearranges the pieces around it. While you are being shaped, others who will be part of your destiny are also being prepared. True friends, mentors, mission partners, all of this is being aligned for the right time. And this time cannot be rushed. This preparation also serves to create emotional resistance. Grand missions require internal stability. You need to be able to stand up even when everything around you tries to knock you down. You need to discern between constructive criticism and disguised sabotage. You need to know when to remain silent and when to take a stand. And these skills are not learned in a quick course. They are forged in everyday life, in long silences, in solitary decisions, in deep pain that no one else understands. It is in this arid terrain that purpose begins to flourish. And when the time of manifestation finally arrives, when the universe says, "Now you are ready," everything changes. The pieces fit together. The right connections emerge, the doors that were locked open. But none of this would be possible without prior preparation. Because without a solid foundation, even blessings become burdensome. So, if you are in a phase where everything seems stagnant, where no one understands you, where silence is your only company, don't despair. You have not been forgotten. You are being formed. This time is not wasted time, it's planted time. And soon, what today seems like a delay will be recognized as a divine strategy. What hurts now will be your greatest strength. And those who turn away today will see tomorrow that you have been set apart, not because you are inferior, but because you are being aligned with something that goes beyond their understanding. The greater purpose does not arrive without deep preparation, and you are closer than you think. Share this knowledge with the world. Together we can spread this message and help more people become free. Subscribe to the channel and send this video to anyone who needs to hear this truth. When old pain still lives inside, the healing journey of the chosen. At some point in life, everyone faces pain. Losses, rejections, abandonments, disappointments are part of the human experience. But there are people who carry older, deeper, quieter wounds. These are marks that were not caused just by specific situations, but by repetitive cycles of neglect, breach of trust, or rejection, even in childhood. Among these people are the so-called chosen ones, souls who came with a greater mission, but who, before fulfilling it, need to look within and restore what was broken inside. It is no coincidence that many of them experience periods of social withdrawal or difficulty in creating lasting bonds. The origin of this is not just in current relationships, but in echoes of the past. The truth is that much of what hurts in the present has roots in what was not healed from yesterday. For those who have a high sensitivity, emotional, spiritual, or energetic, a trauma does not dissolve over time. It remains silent, hidden among memories, habits, and automatic behaviors. It manifests itself in the decisions we make, the people we attract, and even the situations we repeat without realizing it. And for the chosen ones, who came into the world with a more acute conscience, these wounds become portals of transformation, or emotional prisons, depending on how they are treated. But why is this healing stage so central in these people's lives? Because no one can light the path of others if they still walk in the darkness of their own pain. And the universe knows this. He leads the chosen ones to moments of reflection, not to punish them, but to offer the necessary environment for a reunion with their essence. It is in this intimate space where solitude is profound that the layers of the soul begin to reorganize. Often, those chosen experience periods of emotional seclusion, not due to a lack of love for others, but due to the need for inner rehabilitation. Living with an open heart when it is still hurt is like trying to run with a broken bone. The effort is there, but the result is more pain. In 2016, research conducted by Harvard Medical School revealed that traumatic events occurring in the first years of life shape not only behavior, but also an individual's neurological structure. Brain connections formed during painful situations tend to reinforce emotional patterns that are repeated over the years. This means that without conscious healing, pain continues to dictate choices. In the case of the chosen ones, these emotional patterns manifest themselves with increased intensity. Small triggers can bring old, dormant feelings to the surface. Simple situations, such as a lack of response or a cold gesture from someone close, can be interpreted as profound rejection because they activate emotional wounds that have not yet been healed. But this emotional hypersensitivity is not weakness. She is a powerful compass, which points out where there is still a need for transformation. It is the internal system signaling that something needs attention, reception, integration. And when the chosen one begins to listen to this compass seriously, one of the most powerful phases of their journey begins: the true internal healing. This cure is not quick, not linear. It happens little by little, in cycles. Sometimes it feels like you're moving forward, and suddenly it all comes flooding back. This doesn't mean you are regressing. It means you're peeling back deeper layers, getting closer and closer to the core of the pain. During this process, many withdraw from social life, not because they don't want to be with others, but because they need a space where they can feel without judgment, reflect without interruption, and rebuild themselves with truth. Unstable relationships, noisy environments, or emotionally immature people can directly interfere with this restoration cycle. It is at this moment that loneliness stops being a burden and becomes a tool. Silence becomes medicine. Introspection becomes a mirror. And little by little, the chosen ones will rescuing parts of yourself that have been ignored, silenced, or distorted over time. The good news: every pain healed turns into wisdom. Each transformed scar becomes a bridge to new, healthier relationships. By healing their own wounds, the chosen ones begin to vibrate at a new frequency. A cleaner, stronger vibration, more aligned with their original mission. And this new frequency inevitably begins to attract different people, fairer situations, more aligned experiences. More than that, it prepares them to guide others with emotional authority. Why? Only those who have already walked the path can lead. So if you feel alone, immersed in painful memories, trying to understand why everything seems so intense, know that this is also part of the process. You are not broken, you are being rebuilt. Every tear that falls in silence is a seed of healing. Every hard night is a preparation for lighter days. And what today seems like internal confusion, tomorrow will be clarity to guide others. Healing is one of the most sacred acts of the soul, and the chosen ones were called precisely for this. Transform your pains into medicine and your patches into bridges to heal the world. To not miss any message from God, click the subscribe button, write "I'm ready" in the comments, and start aligning your energy with the transformation that is coming. The frequency that keeps you away. When spiritual elevation redefines the paths, there is something that few people realize, but that silently transforms the way we connect with the world. Personal vibration. It is not visible, it has no smell, it has no color, but it influences everything. From the places we feel good to the people who remain, or not, by our side. When someone begins a genuine process of inner growth, their vibration changes. And this transformation is not just symbolic, it is energetic. It is as if the soul began to emit a new type of signal, more subtle, more in tune with higher dimensions. What many call vibrational elevation or spiritual ascension is, in practice, a change of tune. And like every tune, it starts to attract and repel elements according to the new pattern. This shift explains why so many people report a feeling of detachment when they begin to connect with their essence. Previously, intense relationships become shallow. Familiar environments start to seem uncomfortable. Repetitive conversations become tiring, not because the world has changed, but because you changed the way you vibrate on him. But what is this spiritual frequency after all? It is the result of the sum of your thoughts, emotions, intentions, and level of consciousness. Every choice you make, whether dietary, emotional, spiritual, or mental, emits a vibration. This vibration, like an invisible wave, communicates to the universe who you are becoming. When you begin to purify your inner self, letting go of destructive patterns, healing resentments, choosing silence over conflict, your frequency will rise. And the higher it is, the more incompatible with busy environments or uneven relationships. This elevation does not happen overnight. It is built on small, often silent decisions. It's saying no to old habits. It's choosing what feeds the soul, and not just the ego. It's about stopping insisting on those who no longer resonate with your journey. And above all, it is becoming aware that not everyone will follow you after this transformation. This hurts, and a lot, because we're not just talking about unknown people. Sometimes those who move away are friends for years, close family members, even romantic partners. When your energy transforms, many around you cannot follow this change. And as painful as it may seem, this is necessary. It's like changing radio stations. If you are broadcasting on the 98.1 FM frequency, you will only be able to connect with those who are also on that tune. Anyone who is still at 87.5, no matter how hard they try, will not hear you clearly. There will be noise, disconnection, mismatch. It's no one's fault. It's just the nature of what is being emitted and received. Science is also beginning to explore these dynamics. Studies in the field of biophysics and vibrational medicine suggest that the human body emits measurable energy fields. The HeartMath Institute, for example, has been researching for decades how the heart, and not just the brain, generates an electromagnetic field that influences both the body and the surrounding environment. Elevated emotions, such as gratitude and compassion, expand this field. Dense emotions like anger and fear contract. In other words, what we feel shapes what we project, and what we project shapes what we attract. Those chosen, as they carry a broader mission, are naturally taken to a purification process. Everything that is disharmonious begins to be removed from your life. not for punishment but for protection. This filtering is not cruel, although it may seem painful. It is a way of making space for what is really in line with your new state of consciousness. Therefore, many reports of people in spiritual transition include symptoms such as extreme tiredness, need for isolation, sensitivity to sounds, lights, and even food. The body accompanies the soul in this process. There is a complete realignment, physical, mental, emotional, and energetic. And on this path, silence becomes an ally. It is the space where the most subtle answers emerge. This is where the soul begins to recognize what makes sense and what no longer makes sense. And in this recognition, many doors close so that others, more authentic, can open. If you feel like you're losing connections, interests, or places that used to fulfill you, know that this is not going backwards. It is a sign of progress. You're tuning into something bigger, and that requires space, focus, and inner fortitude. What resonated with your old version will not be compatible with your new way of existing. And here's the secret. The higher your vibration rises, the closer you get to the truth of your purpose. It is natural that during this phase you feel disconnected from the world. But this disconnection is temporary. It is a period of transition. Soon, others that vibrate at the same frequency will begin to emerge, not by chance, but by alignment. Not through effort, but through energetic coherence. You are not being left behind. You are being led to your true place. Because elevation does not exclude, it selects. And everything that is being let go now, as difficult as it may seem, is making way for experiences and people who will finally speak the same language as your soul. If you feel this calling within you, subscribe to the channel and write "I am chosen" in the comments. Declare that you are ready to receive what is already in store for you. The reality few can bear to see. Have you ever noticed that the more authentic you become, the more limited your circle becomes? That the more you grow inside, the narrower the path you walk becomes? It's not imagination. This happens because not everyone is ready to live with those who have already passed certain stages, and that has a cost: being alone. Throughout this journey, we have seen why the chosen often walk in isolation, not out of weakness, but out of spiritual necessity. The heightened sensitivity, the need for inner healing, the higher vibrational frequency, the silent and deep preparation. All of this creates a scenario where loneliness is not an option. It's a consequence. You were not removed from social life by chance. What happens to you is not a lack of charisma, nor a personality problem. The distancing of people, the lack of interest from old friends, the difficulty in connecting with romantic partners or even family members do not originate abroad. The breaking point is within. As you transform, your demands change, your patience wanes, your priorities rearrange themselves. Before, perhaps you accepted any type of conversation, any presence, any company. Today, it's no longer possible. You have become selective, not out of arrogance, but out of necessity. It is no longer possible to pretend to feel good where your energy is consumed or distorted. And when that happens, the number of people around tends to decrease drastically. But make no mistake, this is not failure. It's a filter. Many relationships that once seemed essential now no longer make sense. Places you frequented became uncomfortable. Interactions that once seemed light now seem empty. This is because your soul is rejecting what no longer matches your current truth. You're not getting boring, it's getting aligned. The truth is that most people don't know how to deal with those who see beyond the surface. He can't stand being around someone who captures what isn't said. He cannot stand the presence of someone who radiates a light that reveals lies and masks. And you, whether you like it or not, have this presence. This is why ties break. That's why you feel awkward in places where everyone seems so at ease. This is why relationships don't flow as they should. You've fallen out of the pattern, and the pattern doesn't know what to do with you. The system rejects you because you were not born to be part of it. All of this has a purpose, all this distance, all this feeling of being on the sidelines, all this silence around serves one thing: strengthen you. The more you learn to walk alone, the more you know yourself. The more you endure absence, the more you develop presence. The more you distance yourself from the noise, the more you listen to your own intuition. This creates a solid foundation. And this foundation is fundamental to the next stage of your mission. Yes, because none of this is in vain. You were not set aside to live like this forever. This moment is transitory. It has a beginning, middle, and end. But while it lasts, it needs to be respected. Don't try to rush the process. Don't try to go back to places you've already outgrown. Don't beg for the presence of those who don't understand your essence. Use this time to prepare, because what comes next requires someone whole. And you will only be whole when you know how to live with yourself without sabotaging yourself, without losing yourself in others, without selling your truth to be accepted. It may seem harsh now, but it's just a matter of time. Soon, those who resonate with your energy will begin to appear. It won't be a lot of people, but it will be a certain number of people. People who also went through purification, which were also shaped by pain. Who also understood that depth does not combine with superficiality. You will realize that the loneliness that hurt you so much was actually the only possible way to find real, fair, and lasting relationships. And when that moment comes, you will look back with gratitude, not because it was easy, but because it was worth it. So, accept this period of silence as a crucial step. Recognize that being alone is not always a sign of loss. Sometimes it's a sign that you've been separated. To be refined, don't fight it. Use loneliness as a tool. Transform emptiness into strength and get ready, because those who have been rejected for being too ready will soon be called to lead. Whoever is chosen doesn't fit in. Whoever is chosen builds the new, and whoever builds the new one needs to be in one piece. The awakening continues. If this video opened your eyes to truths you had never seen before, imagine what else you can discover. Subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications so you don't miss any content that will transform your life.